I remember when you took this company private, how excited you were to not have quarterly earnings calls anymore, how excited you were not to have activist investors anymore. So are you excited? And can you convince me you're excited about being back in the public markets right now?
So look, we were a public company for 25 years, and so it's not a new experience. And during the period that we were private, we really transformed the company. And now we have almost 90% of our engineers are software engineers. The company grew 17% in GAAP revenues in the last 9 months. Our data center business grew 22%. We're the world leader in infrastructure, hardware, and software, and outgrowing the industry. So it's really a transformed company. And yeah, absolutely. We're public again and very much ready to be so.
Okay, let's talk about how your stock's been trading since you went public. I think overall the market capitalization is around $32 billion right now. You have assets, including VMware, that's like $52 billion, which has a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on there. And I'll run you through some of the bear case on this. You know this well. We just ran a bite from Jim Cramer where he talked about the ownership structure where you and Silver Lake really control the majority of the votes. But you've also got issues like you've got a lot of debt and you're going to have to pay that down before you can spend more on innovation. You can answer that question. And then just questions about a low-margin business that is subject to swings in the economy. Knock all those arguments off the table.
So look, last 12 months, our EBITDA, $10 billion, right? And if you look at our interest coverage, it's closer to $2 billion. So while there are a lot of zeros, the interest coverage is quite healthy, and we're in a very good spot. We've invested over $21 billion in R&D in the last 5 years, and we're continuing to invest. We're outgrowing the market. We paid down $14.4 billion in debt since the EMC combination, and we'll continue to pay down at a healthy pace towards investment grade. So, look, the company's doing extraordinarily well, growing faster than our industry. If you look at our data center business, I mean, it is the largest in the world. It grew 22% year over year in the last 9 months. If you compare that to the next 2 or 3 companies, they were growing at 2-3% or negative. So we're by far the largest and the fastest growing, and we have the best technology. And look, we're in a world where the digital transformation, the explosion in data, AI, machine learning, cloud, 5G, all those things are capturing the imagination of customers, and they require all kinds of new capabilities to be able to make that happen. And we've put ourselves in the position of combining the world's best capabilities to be able to enable that for 99% of the Fortune 500 and hundreds of thousands of millions of small, medium-sized businesses all over the world.
When you talk about that innovation, what are you most excited about? What's some of the latest and greatest that you're funding right now that you think is going to be a game changer?
It's a lot to be excited about. The last 3 decades were really kind of a foundational layer upon which all these new things are being created. And what's super interesting now is that the cost of a computer in the form of a sensor or small microcontroller is approaching zero. So everything's becoming intelligent. You have an explosion in data, and then you apply computer science to take this data to fundamentally change the products and services and make them better. That, when you layer on, the next generation 5G, just means there is it's the 4th industrial revolution. Now, some of it will be hype and some of it won't work, but we're seeing it move at a very significant pace across just about every industry.
Let's talk about the trade wars that we've seen, because if there's anything that could potentially slow things down in the technology industry, it could be if China and the U.S. kind of break off and each develop their own sort of intranet in terms of where we're headed, where the protocols are going to be, and whether this is still going to be a really globalized sector. What do you think?
I'm optimistic that, this will get improved and resolved. Certainly, we've moved some things out of China, based on the tariffs and the various, rules that are in place. And, we have about 25 factories around the world, and most of them aren't in China, right? and so we've got a flexible supply chain. It's largely been uninterrupted from the perspective of our customers.
Where have you moved? I mean, if you're taking stuff out of China, where's that manufacturing facility gone?
U.S., Mexico, Poland, Brazil, India, Malaysia, Taiwan, you name it. So everywhere. But again, I'm optimistic that a positive outcome will be reached here, because it really has to be.
But do you think long term it's going to be harder to sell into countries like China? I mean, given, for example, what's happened to ZTE, Huawei, et cetera, that there's going to be really decisions made along not party lines, but country lines in terms of certain brands and certain businesses?
Well, we'll see. We have a strong and large business in China, and we have critical capabilities that are unmatched by the local companies, and therefore, we have a great business. And, we'll see how that develops over time.